this is our, hopefully, be our Christmas present from the Stevens Company. Maybe they can bring us our Christmas present that we need for the county. We have with us today Joanne and Tom. Most of you know them. They have been with the Stevens Company probably most of their life, at least as long as I've been on the court, which is a long time. They had our insurance up until last year, and then Peformance outbid them a little bit. But I think Tom got a little bit upset and told Joanne he's going to do some digging that's going to beat them out today, and they were going to get our business back. So, having said that, Tom or Joanne, whichever one of y'all want to have the floor, it's all yours.
Thank you, Bill. Great to be back in Mississippi County. We certainly have missed y'all over the last year, and so hopefully we brought something today that will be good for the county, and we can get back into a relationship again. And I know Joanne and I both enjoyed coming to Mississippi County. I'm going to go ahead and pass these books out. We've got one for everybody.
You need one?
She's got one already.
I've got one more.
With the signature.
Okay, if you want to go ahead, we'll just jump right in and turn to tab 1, and you will see a spreadsheet with proposals from Qual Choice and United Healthcare. We asked Blue Cross of Arkansas to quote, and they declined to quote because the data that was provided they didn't feel comfortable with. However, Qual Choice, who the county has been with before, and United Healthcare were able to submit what we feel are very attractive options for the county. And so the way we've structured this is Joanne had 2 options priced, a $1,500 deductible plan and a $5,000 deductible plan. And not knowing exactly what you're doing today, the thought would be the county could pay for the $5,000 deductible plan and let the employees have the option to buy up to the $1,500 deductible if they wanted to pay the additional. Or you could go with either one by itself. So you would have the option of offering the 2 plans. If we did that, then we would meet with the employees as much as possible, explain to them what their choices are, and then they could make a decision that's best for them and their family. So as you can see, we'll start with option 1. This is Qual Choice at the $5,000 deductible plan, which it does have co-pays for office visits. So for primary care, it's $20. For a specialist, it's $35. If you go into the hospital, or if you have surgery or a lot of outpatient testing done, you would be required to meet the deductible, and then the plan would pay 80% after that until you were out of pocket $6,000 for an individual, $12,000 for a family. The prescription drug copays are $15 for preferred, $35 for brand, and $50 for non-preferred, and $100 for specialty. You can see the quote from Qual Choice is coming in at 8.4% lower than the current funding. So the individual would be $689.95, and the employee plus family would be $841.74. Okay. Before I go any further, are there any questions?
The current number is the 2019
Yes, sir.
pricing, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right, and this is a very difficult comparison to make because what you're in today is a very different plan than what we're proposing. We're proposing a traditional fully insured plan, and so the county pays that premium and Qual Choice is responsible for all the claims. There's no self-funded layer, there's no Medi-Hop, there's none of that. It's just what you were used to before this year. So option 2 is a lower deductible, a little bit different on the copay. So the primary care is $30 and the specialist is $50, but you have a lower deductible. $1,500 for an individual, $3,000 for family, and you can see the individual co-insurance max is also lower at $4,500 and $9,000 for family. Same drug card co-pays, and this one is coming in at 5.7% higher than your current. So again, one thing that a lot of employers do, especially since the Affordable Care Act was passed in 2011, is they will offer a high deductible, lower premium plan to the employees so that they can provide coverage for everybody, but then give the employees the option to buy up if they're willing to spend more to get a lower deductible. So that's how that could potentially work. Or you could go with option 1 or option 2 as a standalone plan. We think it makes a lot of sense.
So
Possibly.
that's a 13% difference, minus 8% lower than today, plus 5% in option 2. That's 5 and 8 is 13%. That's a substantial difference.
And not knowing until you would actually offer that to your employees, how many would actually buy up to pay that additional premium. So typically, the employer benchmarks their contribution to the lower cost and then says, Bill, if you want the richer benefit, you can, but you're going to have to pay the difference. So it would be up to the individual. Lifetime max, of course, is unlimited under both. And you can see in section 2, you'll go to section 2, the actual proposal from QualChoice. And as you go through this, you can see some of the assumptions, and then you'll see other options that QualChoice has quoted. And then you get into the member handbook. And so there are a lot of additional services that are offered inclusive of this premium. There's an app. If you want to download the QualChoice app on your phone, you can do that. There's information about, obviously, in-network, prescription drug benefits, health and wellness. So people who have an ongoing chronic disease like diabetes, there's additional support for those type of things. A lot of additional services that are available through QualChoice other than just the health insurance itself.
You
So
may
that's-
remember they had the NIC for tobacco cessation, they had the diabetes program, heart health program.
And I think that we have, there's a
Joe, I see on page 8, pre-qualification and pre-authorization is required.
For certain services.
How do they know which ones?
The doctors will know. If it's a surgical procedure or something like that, the doctors will call and get that information.
Okay.
They'll
So
call
it's
QualChoice.
It's not the...
It's not the member's responsibility to do that, no.
And you're going to have that with just about any health plan. There are just some things that we want to make sure it's medically necessary and you're getting the right care in the right place. And it protects the member as much as it protects the county. So that's additional information about QualChoice. If we go back to the spreadsheet, you can see United Healthcare also submitted a very competitive quote. Option 3 is the $5,000 deductible. The copays are higher than the QualChoice copays, but they're coming in at 7.2% lower than current. And then their $1,500 deductible option is option 4, and it's at 8.4% higher
Concurrent.
than current. So overall, QualChoice is the most competitive of the two, but they're both very good options for the county.
Tom, have you been privy to the numbers that we were quoted from the insurance company we've been using today?
I have, yeah. We have seen that.
Significant increase.
Yes.
And it's a little confusing. There's a lot of moving parts to that thing.
Well, I'm just not understanding why they're wanting to bump us 22%, but yet y'all are able to come in at 8% less. That's a 30% difference. Kelly?
Now,
Or
I'm not,
Molly.
I'm sorry, but now the current deductible is $500, isn't it?
They have that option, yes, but I mean, the most is 2,500, and that's out of pocket. Complete out of pocket, like, they would have to pay thousands of dollars out of pocket up front.
That's what I'm saying, so it's real, I mean,
Before
so
they
it
paid
is the same, I mean,
Right.
I understand that they've given us a proposal, but it's not really the, I mean, it's not the same, is it the same coverage?
No.
No.
This is more traditional and doesn't have that extra couple layers, and you're not self-funding any of it.
So,
Under
so
this
that's why
plan,
it is less expensive, is because there would be more out-of-pocket expense to the actual employee, is that right?
For the
Potentially.
$5,000, yeah.
and even if you went to the $1,500 deductible, then it's an 8.4% increase over what we're paying, what we're going to pay at 22%, is that correct?
That's right, and still, there's still more out-of-pocket for
That's
the
right.
employee.
It's
Well,
over your 2019.
22% or
rates.
44%, I don't.
Okay, over the, not over the,
Not over
over,
your renewal rates. This is over your this
is
is what you're paying right now.
I got you.
So depending on how this is explained, it's either going up 22% or 44%.
22, yeah.
There's a
Justice
lot, we have a
Rogers,
lot of questions
Did you
about.
get your question answered a while ago?
Well, yeah, I just wanted to know if I was looking at it right, because it looks like there's a 30% difference between what they're quoting this and the
Well,
previous
I think
company quoted. this.
Joanne explained it to Molly, I don't know if you heard it or
Yes.
not. Okay.
There's some of that is explained in the different benefit levels. And some of it is, I think, explained in a better managed plan than this. This has more questions than it has answers.
I've been dealing with the county on their insurance for 25 years, and a lot of these members weren't here, but they got into a partially self-funded years back. You have an unhealthy account, it's gonna bite you tremendously. A fully funded, your employees are a lot safer, and y'all are safer as an account.
So thank you for bringing that up.
Yes.
well,
Because we got involved with the county when you were with that plan. And
Previous.
we helped the county get out of that and into a fully insured plan. And so this is very similar to what, it was Great West, I think, if you remember. Was
Do any of these qual choice you made, just curious, do they do telemed?
Yeah.
Well,
See?
now Qual Choice is starting it
Mhm.
in the first quarter of
Well,
this next year.
That's gonna save your employees a lot of money. They think they got a sore throat or something, they're right there on that little phone thing with their doctor.
Yeah.
They don't gotta go to that office.
Yeah.
My company does it in some metro areas. And I don't have nothing to do with the medical, but they tell us how much it has helped them to keep that employee out of that doctor's office. Because your new millennials coming now, your younger people are really using this.
Yeah.
The future of healthcare in Arkansas is going to be virtual visits, whether it's telemedicine or
Actually, a virtual visit.
an
yeah.
actual virtual visit. And the reason for that is we're a very rural state. We have a lot of people that live in areas where there's just not good access to primary care. And so UAMS is really leading the charge on this, and the governor is really supporting it. Yeah, so, yeah, thanks again. Another great point. And that's something that it comes out with Qual Choice. We'll educate the employees around. You know, before you go to the emergency room, before you go to an urgent care center, try the telemedicine. If it's just an ear infection or a sinus infection,
A sore throat, whatever.
yeah. Don't go sit in some waiting room with a bunch of sick people if you can do it over the phone.
so if we went to qual choice option 2, it would be a $1,500 deductible.
Yes, sir.
So that's what the employee would be out of pocket. Then it pays 80%.
Until they're out.
4,500.
Until they're out of complete.
But if they just go to the doctor's office, it's $30 under option 2.
Right.
20 under option 1. So unless you're actually going into the hospital or having outpatient surgery or a lot of diagnostic testing done, the deductible won't apply.
Right. Okay, but here's, I had knee surgery this past year. It cost me $500. So under option 2, which is basically the best plan in here, in my opinion, for the employee. Under option 2, if I had knee surgery and I had this plan, it would cost me 15 plus 45, is that correct? Am I-
No, the 15
The 15 and then 20% of the.
accumulates. And all your co-pays also accumulate
Okay,
to the
I
out-of-pocket.
got you 15, it cost me how much now?
Total 45. I think.
Yeah, the most you would have paid out of pocket would be.
For the
45.
whole
So
year.
once you hit that 45, you don't even have a copay to go
No.
to the doctor.
That's right.
Everything's at
Okay.
100% for the
Everything's
balance of
at
the
100%.
year.
Yeah, and after you hit the 500, you don't have a copay with this.
Yeah, but now you said that, and this is a question I want to ask, you said that the employee would have an option, because I know several of our employees took the option to buy down, to get down from a 15 or 2,500 deductible to even 500. You said they would have that option with this?
They could, if you offered both options, you could give them the $5,000 deductible and they could buy down to the $1,500.
But if we, let's say we went with option 2, could they buy down a lower deductible than the 1,500 or no?
There are options that were in the proposal
Oh,
that you
okay.
could actually,
Yeah, if you go back to that section that we were just looking at,
they didn't,
they didn't price at $500.
no.
$1,500
But we
is the
can get
lowest
them
one.
to do that.
We can get it, it's just gonna raise the cost.
Well, I'm not on the committee, but I would like to say, it's very difficult for most of our employees to meet a $5,000 deductible. They've never had that, and I think it would be very difficult if the situation came along. $1,500, somewhere in that range probably is something they can handle, but when you get into $5,000, some of them just aren't able.
And that was actually the plan that you were on previously. In 2018, you had a $1,500 deductible. It was basically that plan
With Blue Cross.
with Blue Cross.
I want to go a little bit different on different track. We were told, and this is, Kelly can explain it better than I can, but the company that we're dealing with now said that there had been a change where the county can offer to pay Medicare benefits to the employees and move them over to Medicare. Are y'all aware of that? A few years ago, you could not do that.
Well, you
That's
can't
under Rule
force.
5 or something.
It's set up as an HRA.
It's a health reimbursement account, and so if they're actively employed, they can stay on the employer plan as long as they're working. You can't force
You
them
cannot
off.
force them, we
But
understood
you
that.
can offer people who are Medicare eligible to waive this coverage, take Medicare, and we can set up a health reimbursement account that the county can fund to pay for the Medicare supplement
Okay.
that they would purchase.
What about the drug card? Can that be included?
Part D as well.
Uh,
And
so
we've
it-
got people
you-
who could come in and meet with those people and explain that to them.
You can pay Part B,
Yeah.
Medicare, the Medicare supplement.
So
and
basically,
Part D.
the county could say, we're gonna put $500 in your HRA every month. And then the individual would take that money and purchase their Medicare supplements.
That is legal now.
That is legal.
Okay.
How does that work in with the open window in signing up on Medicare benefits? I mean, that's just now closing, if I'm not
Right,
mistaken.
it is.
Right. Well, I believe, and I'll verify this, that when they waive off of this plan, they're eligible to enroll in Medicare.
Doesn't matter
Doesn't
when
matter.
it is.
Right. And you would want to set it up as it'd be a qualifying event type of situation, but if you could set it up where it's all done at once so that you have educational meetings with the Medicare eligible people and say effective April 1st, we're going to offer you this opportunity. We'll have somebody introduce the whole concept to them and explain, and then they have that chance at that time to come off of the group plan and go on to the Medicare. And in many cases, their Medicare coverage is a whole
It's gonna be
lot
better
better
and cheaper.
than a
Much
group
better.
plan. Yeah.
Testimony to it. But would this not help us? We have 27 employees who are Medicare age. If we were successful in moving most of those, I'm sure that a lot of our claims are probably coming from that age bracket. would that not help us as far as the next year on our
Potentially.
potential claims and so forth?
Sure. And we did that very exact thing that we just described with the United Methodist Conference for the state of Arkansas. And they discontinued their health plan, and we moved as much of the clergy as we could into those Medicare plans. And it worked. We're talking Arkansas Tech right now, but
Yeah, Arkansas
they've
Tech
got a
is also.
retiree plan. We go, Medicare benefits are better than
Than your
this.
group
Why are you
benefits.
insisting that we
It does
hang on
not
to
get
this?
any better than
Yeah.
Medicare and a good
Yeah.
supplement.
And
You
a
know,
good
it's-
supplement.
It's funny,
Correct,
I've
yes.
been in this business going on 40 years, and I can remember there was a time when people would dread going on Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
They'd work as long as they could so they could stay on the employer's plan.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we hear people say all the time, I can't wait until I'm Medicare eligible.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I have friends my age who continue to work for one reason. Because they want the employer, because they can't afford to buy insurance as an individual before they turn 65.
Correct.
So, yeah, that would definitely be an option. The important thing to remember is under the Age Discrimination Act, you cannot force them off the plan if they're actively employed.
Just educate and offer.
I'm gonna ask one last question about the 45, like we plan to, 4,500 out of pocket. Do your co-pays on your medicines count towards
Yes.
that as well?
Yes.
So if they're paying if they're having to take medicines every month and they're spending $100 a month, and then they end up having to have surgery, that's all gonna count.
All,
And
It
why
doesn't
is there-
apply to the deductible. It only applies to the out-of-pocket, that
that
4,500.
4,500.
So,
Yes, the 1,500 deductible is gonna be like if they're admitted to the hospital.
correct,
Or have a lot of diagnostic testing done in the office.
correct.
But that 1,500 applies to the 4,500 as well.
Yes.
It does.
So basically, they've got a 3,000 out-of-pocket loss with a $1,500 deductible.
Yeah, and the 3,000 co-pays would accumulate towards that 3,000.
Your office visit and your pharmacy.
So, yeah, I know it sounds like a lot, but people who are utilizing a lot of health care will satisfy that and get to 100%.
How about you, Sonny? You got a question?
The big difference is this is a fully insured plan, so there's no uh-ohs or I didn't understand that, or what do you mean we've got another $1 million that we're potentially liable for? This is it.
Well, my understanding, I can't speak for everyone else, my understanding was, a year ago, was that this was something fairly new. I don't think the word self-insured was ever used. But the understanding was, my understanding was, we were gonna be grouped in with county employees from another 10 or 12 counties,
Coalition.
which means you spread the pool, spread the rest of the pool.
Commingled funds.
And that's not the case. We have too small a group to, over a long period of time, to probably benefit from a self-insurance situation.
We work with a lot of employers that are self-insured. And so it can be an effective tool as long as everybody understands the pros and cons. There are certain groups, because of their size and their demographic, that probably should not try this. You know, where we see it work are groups like Dillard's, you know, with 20,000 employees, a lot of young people. Our group, we have 1,200 employees at Stevens. We're self-insured, but I like to think I'm pretty healthy, but not everybody in our group's healthy, but we've got a pretty healthy group. But yeah, you're right.
As long as Joanne doesn't hit her truck on the way home, you're fine.
I'm fine, you know. And
Or one hits
I
me.
was going to take a nap on the way home, but now I'm going to have to watch her, I guess.
Do you have a group size where it seems to be a break point as far as the self-insured group? Like we're 200,
Right.
y'all are 1,200, and it works for y'all, but is there
So-
a number in there that's magic number?
Since the Affordable Care Act, we've seen a trend towards smaller employers doing self-funded. But I think to your point, it's not just the size of the group, it's the nature of the group.
Yes.
It's, you know, so if you know you've got a lot of illness in your group, then self-funded may not be the best solution for you. And, you know, I've been doing this 39 years, and I've got more questions than I got answers here. And I don't know that I really understand what the world's going on. That raises a red flag for me. It's very confusing to follow this.
Anybody else got any questions they'd like to ask Tom or Joanne?
I do have one. If, let's just say we went with option two, I mean, to me, that's the, if out of all these, that's the best option. That's what for the employee. If we went with option two, and let's just say we had a year like we had in 2019, when y'all come back next year, is it gonna be another increase? Or will we stay the same?
It'll be an increase.
How much? Just guess.
Okay.
You've been doing it 40 years, guess.
Well, you know, it just depends on what the utilization is. A group your size, there is some experience rating involved, but there's also some manual rating done. So it just depends on what the experience is. It will probably go up. I'm not going to tell you it's not.
I'm sorry, if I remember correctly, 2 or 3 years ago, we had 2 large claims of cancer situation and everything. And we had claims of over $2 million one year. And if I remember correctly, I could stand corrected, but I think our rates the next year were gonna go up 12%.
It was about that, yeah.
That's correct. I remember that exactly. That's when we switched.
12 beats 22.
Well, but I understand that, but you know, we're talking about a 5.7% increase over what we paid in 2019. That's a 17% savings basically, or 16%, 5.7. So you might as well say 16% or 16.3.
I agree.
Okay, but, all right, we're looking at 22 right now. I'm not saying we won't be looking at another increase with this other company next time around. But if we're looking at a 10%, then we're at 18.7 next year. Or if we're at 12%, we're 20.7. So I mean, and he said if we have another 2019, it's going to increase next year. You can't tell how much. I mean, I understand that. You know,
I think-
Anything will, yeah.
But I think too, part of the deal, the 22%, if I understood it, was not guaranteed unless we could move those,
that's right.
all of those people.
No, they didn't say all, but
At least a
majority of
certain,
them.
Majority.
a certain percentage
So,
and.
you know, we may be looking at more than 22.
Really?
So
That's what we were told.
I have some very serious concerns about where this program is right now with the funding. And this report is showing $679,000 of paid pending claims. Okay, so you spent everything you've allocated to the claims fund. And this tells me there's another $679,000 above that there's no money to release those claims. And they're projecting an aggregate claim exceeding the aggregate coverage by another $100,000. And so we are not comparing apples to oranges. Well, we're not even comparing fruit to fruit. We're comparing apples to hamburgers. And so you can't look at this and compare it to this. I mean, it's not a fair comparison. And so I have some real serious concerns about how all of this is going to end up when everything is said and done.
Okay, you just opened another can.
And I'm sorry, I wish I...
So we've got over $600,000 in unpaid pending claims, according to the report
They've
you're
been
saying.
processed and they are pending because there's no money to pay them. It's what
If
it
we-
appears to me. That's one of the questions I have.
If we change to Qual Choice or whomever, United, what's going to happen to those?
Well, there is a reinsurance contract that will cover up to $1 million under the aggregate coverage. And so, assuming that policy has been executed and is legitimate, that will help pay for that.
Now, this is what bit us with the previous self-funded project that
Right.
everybody keeps mentioning, because that reinsurance was in Pango, and that's not a joke. And they disappeared. And then the county was left holding that now $600,000 bag. We don't want to be holding a $600,000 bag if we jump ship. Now, I want to jump ship, my personal opinion. I like what I'm seeing here, but we need to be prepared. If there's 600,000 plus another 100,000 that you mentioned, you're looking at $750,000.
Yeah, so that's why there's some questions that need to be answered.
The reinsurance was with Gerber.
The insurance with Gerber.
So if for some reason they weren't paying the insurance claim for Gerber, we can go back to LS and take them to court for that.
I'm assuming they've got errors and omissions coverage. I'm assuming that they would. But that's probably what, $1 million or $2 million limit on that.
So in your opinion, just your opinion, not, are we covered? If we jump ship, are we covered?
I can't answer that.
Do you feel like we are?
I can't answer that.
Trying to pin you down, Tom.
I know.
Here we go.
I
It's
was
not
a
a
party
signed
to this,
contract
and there's
that we've got a copy
this
of.
contract's not signed or executed. So I don't know if there's a signed copy somewhere. I think we asked about that, but this one is not signed by LS or anybody else. So first thing I'd want to do is get a signed copy to make sure that the coverage is in force, and then ask if we terminate December 31st, what's going to happen? And get your current.
I'm like Justice Norvell. I have never heard this prepaid, or I thought we were paying a premium and getting insurance. I didn't know we were selling.
That's what we've been used to.
That's what we're used to.
No one ever mentioned the
No
word.
one ever told
No,
us we were
no
doing
one ever mentioned
self-insured.
self-insured until this last meeting. Now, maybe we just.
I thought we were paying a car payment or car insurance. They were insuring it, we were done. But that's not the case.
Went to a different
You were getting a
animal.
dog and pony show.
When you go to self-insured, it's a different animal altogether.
Right.
And it works
is.
for a lot of employers, so I'm not bad-mouthing self-insurance, because we do a lot of it at Stevens. It's just, it needs to be done right, and everybody needs to know exactly what they're getting into when they get into it. And so we spend a lot of time, we sell against that. So I'd spend more time convincing you not to do this than trying to sell you on this, just to make sure that you understand. I can tell you at Stevens, there's two ways to do things. There's the right way, there's the wrong way. And we are never, ever going to take shortcuts or do the wrong thing. And so if that costs us business, so be it. But I'm never going to have to tell Mr. Stevens.
I tend
Why we
to
did
feel
something wrong.
like Justice, whatever his name is, Justice Byrd, that most of our employees cannot afford $5,000 deductible. It's just beyond their physical means. They just can't do it.
Bill, can I interrupt you? That is the reason I put the supplements in for the employees, because that pays them the cash when they have their
Right.
catastrophic conditions or their injuries. I'm paying them money to make their house payment.
Okay,
We're
tell me
paying
who you're
medical.
representing this for.
I represent Aflac, but actually
Well, I
I
know
work
that,
for the
but why-
employees of the county to make sure they're covered.
And that's a strategy that we use a lot with our clients too, that have gone to higher deductibles because of the cost increases, is to provide these voluntary products to the individuals. It pays cash benefits to the individuals that they can use to pay these out-of-pocket expenses.
Let me go back and finish my statement.
Okay, sorry.
It's okay. Mr. Ford would like to see me bird walk. But what I'm trying to say is, Justice Burge, I support what you're saying about the big deductible. They can't afford it. And if, Justice White, if we're really trying to help them like we talked about in the Finance Committee meeting, then I don't think there's any option for us except two. That's how I feel, and I certainly would like to have the input of the Insurance Committee and any other JP that wishes to make a statement about that.
Well, I would certainly agree with that. I think if we were going to look at changing at this stage, I mean, option 2 would really be the only option.
I made that statement earlier.
What about you, Bo?
I made that statement earlier that there's no way we could do, if we were gonna switch, the option 2 is the only thing we could go to for the employee's benefit.
Would agree.
Yeah, we're agreeing again. It's scary, I know.
Is this historical?
Oh, yeah.
And we were here.
It's happened more often though, so I don't know what's going on.
Whoa, whoa.
Bill, again, I'm not on the committee, but before I personally, I'm just voicing my opinion, I think we should make the move to option 2. But I think we need to verify for sure that these claims are going to be covered before we make the change. And I don't know what that
What
requires.
if they say, no, you're on the hook for them, then are we gonna stay with them just because we've got to pay that? Or can we not better ourselves for next year and take option 2? What's the answer to that?
Well, option 2 will probably not save you $600,000 worth.
But if we stay with the 22%, it's still not gonna save us
No, and there's no
$6,000.
guarantee it's gonna be 22%. So
Well, yeah.
That was under several conditions.
that's right. The
It
court
could go
will just
up.
have to decide, do we want to,
I don't think we have to worry about the claims being paid personally. I mean,
I hope you're right.
I mean,
I
that's-
think you're right.
the supplement, or the, like, what is it called? The
Reinsurance.
Gerber, reinsurance is Gerber, so I mean, they sell plenty of baby food. I think we're gonna be all right.
Justice White, it's your time.
I like option 2 on qual choice, my opinion. I think we ought to jump ship, and if we run into a problem with the $600 or even $700,000, I think we go to court.
We addressed it at that point.
Same question I was just fixing to ask. What if the bridge is out, but you didn't know it until you got just a few feet from it?
Jump hard. I think we'll be okay, Justice Clay. I think with the contracts that we have in place, that we'd be able to go back, and I agree with Tom, surely any reputable insurance company will have an errors and omissions policy which would cover them if they forgot to sign the Gerber contract. Their errors and omissions policy should be at least a 7-figure policy that would still cover our losses. So we kind of got a double coverage there with LS in that they should have the reinsurance. They should also have the errors and omissions. So if one doesn't work, pick up, the other one should. Am I correct in what I'm hearing?
Assuming that both of those are in place.
Exactly.
Right.
Do y'all know Leslie with LS?
No, I
No,
don't.
okay, I was just curious. And then let me go back and say one thing real quick. If we do switch, I want to go to option 2. I never said for sure I want to switch. I just want to clear that up. So,
I think we might wanna stay with 22%.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know what it's going to be next year, but no, I don't want a 22% increase, but I do know that this insurance that we had this past year paid real good, and there was a group that you could reach out to, that you could talk to somebody on the phone. You didn't have to talk to somebody in some foreign country that couldn't speak English. I mean, you had a person there that you could talk to and help you and walk through. I mean, I could send all my bills to this person, and they made sure they got paid. I mean, I've had Blue Cross Blue Shield for a long time, still have it, and I know it's sometimes a pain in the rear to talk to people.
So are you changing your mind?
No, what do you mean change my mind?
Well, I thought you were in favor.
No, I said if we
option 2.
switch, option 2 is what I'm in favor of for the employee's benefit. But, honestly, all my claims have been paid from knee surgery, so I don't have an issue with this, the insurance company we've had in the past. And the other group that come in, try and take over LS, I feel like they were a little bit more honest, a little bit more up forward. They told us stuff, And I mean, nothing against y'all or nothing. I mean, I'm just saying, I don't want to pay a 22% increase. County really don't need to pay a 22% increase. But, we're going to be switching again when Stevens comes back and says, hey, it's going to be a 15% increase next year. We're going to be looking again, and we can do that.
And you're, just to clarify, so you're saying it's a 5.7% increase with the current.
Right.
Over the current rates.
Right, over the current rates, and that's even if none of the 27 go on to Medicare.
Right.
That's right.
That's locked in.
Right.
We're not going any higher than that this year.
Right.
All the way to Christmas.
would it be in our best interest if this change is made to move forward with trying to move these people over to Medicare?
Oh, sure, yeah.
There's no problem in doing that.
But we can't mandate it.
No, yeah, I know that,
It's- it's
but if
voluntary.
20 or whatever took it, that moves your claims record away from our policy for 2020 and moves it to the federal government.
And that may help us next year.
Yeah, and also,
Yeah.
and then have better insurance.
And that
May help.
Yeah.
And we have a Medicare expert that he could sit down with these individuals and explain to them what their choices are. And then the Medicare supplements, if you're on Medicare, you know, those supplements are specific to the prescription drugs you're taking. So we would ask everybody that's considering it, bring a list of the drugs that you're currently taking and make sure we get you the best Part D coverage for those drugs.
There's a software out there that you can run.
Right.
My son ran it on me and he told me, Dad, change to this card.
Right.
And you have that opportunity every year.
Right.
Yeah, so we can provide that assistance. I want to verify on the health reimbursement account on how that would work, but we know a company in Cabot that could administer those.
Are you talking about a cafeteria plan?
Similar to a cafeteria
Similar.
plan, but I believe for post-65 well, not retirees, but post-65, the county could fund money into a health reimbursement account that the individual then could take that money and pay for those Medicare supplements. And so you could say that you could fix that cost at $500, which is less than the individual. Now, they may be 65 plus, but their spouse may not be 65. And so we run into that a lot where they got to maintain this coverage so they can cover their spouse who's not Medicare eligible.
In fact,
Justice Ash, would you like to make a comment one way or the other?
Well, listening to this, I'm all for option 2 on qual choice. Because a lot of insurance companies do not include your drug copays and your office copays in that out-of-pocket maximum. So I think that's going to be our best option, and I like the rate on it a whole lot better than 22% more.
Justice Clay,
I go along with
what he said is what you want to do.
He said he agreed with
You agree?
Justice Ash.
it. You know, I think that,
Justice Helper?
I've used qual choice before, I liked them.
Were you here last time when we had qual choice? Did
It
you
was
have
a
any problem?
$10,000 deductible one at that time. Of course, I made
Or
it
1,000, it was a 1,000. And probably 10,000 out of pocket.
10,000, yeah, 10,000 out of pocket.
And talking about service, do you remember Billy Ann
She might.
with Qual
She's from
Choice?
Osceola.
She's from Osceola.
She'll be your rep.
Yeah, she would be your rep. She's up here all the time.
Can
Her
you get her on the
family's in
phone?
Osceola.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
What's her last name?
Well,
Ask you.
it's
Well,
Askew now, but it was,
don't know what
Stoffel?
her maiden name was.
is it Stoffel?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did her husband retire from the fire department, the phone department?
Ken knew her well.
Yeah, Ken knew her. He went to school
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah, I think her husband retired from the phone department, or
Her
telephone,
ex-
Southwestern Bell.
Yeah. Her dad, or her dad?
That may be it, it may be her dad.
I think that's her dad, yeah.
So
Her mom was a nurse, I think.
we'd love
Yeah.
to get the county's business back. I'm not going to lie about that. But someone needs to ask these people what's going to happen with these unpaid claims if we do move.
Ended, yeah.
And I would feel a lot more comfortable if I knew that the reinsurance was in place and it was going to cover all this.
We'll get together and send them an email from you, and I'll help you if you want me to word it like we need to. Get the information, if you want my help.
Sure, I would love it.
is there still time to, if we make the change, to get everyone enrolled by January?
And we've actually kind of got a plan, if you went with Qual Choice, Billy Ann actually came up with this suggestion, is that we would pull unless these people can give you a complete member listing, including all the dependents, birth dates and everything. She can upload those into a pre-filled form, and then people can just mark, yes, I want to keep this coverage or make a change, or if there's anybody new, they can fill out another form. We can have that ready to go. She also volunteered to hand deliver the cards so that they would have them before the 1st. They would bring them to you guys, you know, so that you could disperse them as needed.
I'm looking at Beverly because I was looking at Beverly because Beverly has to do a lot of that, so I'm sure she would be happy with that.
Oh, yeah.
I think the message is Billy Ann really would like to
She
get
wants you
the
guys
county
back so bad.
And she's gonna bend over backwards.
She goes, those are my peeps, I want them back.
Kelly, what do you think? I mean, you deal with this insurance more than any of us.
I want to do what's best for the county. I want to make sure that what we're paying for insurance is the best possible for our taxpayer dollars. I also, though, as an employee, and I love all of our county employees, but, you know, I want what's best for them, too. So a mixture of both is what I want. And dealing with insurance companies, you know, I mean, me and Beverly do most of it. Beverly does most of it now. But, you know, it's really important to have a good relationship with who you're dealing with. And I don't remember any problems with QualChoice. I don't remember, you know, I don't have anything negative to
Judge
say.
Carney was under QualChoice, was he not?
He was that very last year that you were with QualChoice,
Yeah.
and then you guys got the pretty big
Because he
increase and we
made it-
moved
yeah,
to Blue
right.
Cross.
That's correct. The last year. Yeah.
And we expect, to your point, that Blue Cross, once we get some more credible data, will be back to bid on the county's business.
Yes.
So when you're in this type of plan, it's easy to switch. There's no run out, there's no reinsurance, there's none of that fog kind of hanging over you. You pay the premium, they pay the claims, period. And so it's a lot easier to switch. If we had to switch from QualChoice to Blue Cross next year or 5 years from now, it's very easy to do as opposed to coming out of something like this.
You know, it would be just, people want to know the truth. And, you know, it's easy for someone to talk to you, friend or so, or no. And you said you wanted, now the last time it didn't work out. What about this time? You know, people just want to know the truth. And no, and not stretching it or whatever, you know, it's just,
Well, on that, Mr. Clay, I think we're hearing the truth today, and I don't know that LS lied to us, but LS did mislead us, in my opinion, so.
I would agree with that.
You're very kind.
And I hate that.
There you go again. Before you know, we'll be friends. We'll be hanging out together.
We just can't be friends. Okay, it looks like we're getting to the point of making a decision. Is there anybody who wants to make any final comment before I entertain a motion to stay where we are, accept the 22% increase with performance, or change to Stevens? And if we change to Stevens, which option do we want? And I think that's what's before us today, to make a decision to present to finance. And there was quiet.
I'll make a motion that we switch to Stevens and choose option 2 for the employees.
We have a motion.
I'll second that.
On our committee. Who?
Oh, okay, that's right.
Oh, I'm second, I'm on the committee.
Hello, Molly.
Hello.
She's still got jet lag.
I don't blame you.
Okay, I suppose you all heard Justice Norvell made a motion that we change to Stevens and choose option 2. Now, is there anybody who wants to make a comment, pro or con, before we vote? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Would you mail me a copy to change our broker?
Certainly.
You got my email?
Yes, I do.
Well,
We
is,
would
Neil,
like to
I'm
move
sorry,
forward on
I do
that.
have is
On
this
Medicare?
dependent
Yes.
upon,
Okay.
Is this
Whatever, you sounded like you had a real good plan in place, so like setting a date, because we are, what, at December 7th as far as the
No, I'm-
closeout on open window for Medicare?
I think it is.
I don't know that we got enough time to get it all together.
Oh, no, it's too late now to do it. We can do it
But-
first quarter.
Anytime, if y'all just set up a time. that-
We will.
That sounds like a good option for everybody.
Let us circle back with our Medicare
I know.
expert.
I know.
I would never,
And,
I would never.
He's really good and he's down there and he's easy to understand. He makes the complicated stuff easy to understand.
Well, we may make it better for 27 employees, not to mention the county.
Let me, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut
No,
you
that's
off.
fine.
I'm not on finance, I won't be at the finance committee this evening, but here's one thing to kind of consider. We're fixing to save 17%. We went and said we're not gonna give bonuses or raises. You know, we may can revisit that, or the finance committee may can revisit that.
Just stroked out over
Kelly
here.
just had a stroke.
I'm just kidding.
Retract that. You just gave her a headache.
No, I
Serious,
agree with you.
it's something that can be considered now.
Absolutely.
I
Absolutely.
mean, we may not can give across the board a big raise, but we may can give a little Christmas bonus or something.
I think we may have something in the works that we can talk about when Justice White gets ready to discuss that.
1:30.
And,
I just want to mention, because I won't be here at 1:30. Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up, because at least we know that we've got your support. Because we were going to talk about that.
Give me a no run vote.
I do have a question for you guys. When could we meet, get this started?
We need to do it
Like,
immediately.
I know, Tuesday, Wednesday next week?
Or can we go on?
Oh,
It's gotta go to finance committee, pay attention.
Excuse me.
Kelly asked, does this have to go to the full court? I said, we're gonna present it to your committee. Are you gonna have to present this to the court, or are we gonna make a decision?
I think the full court ought to vote on it, but we've got 8 here of the 11.
How many of you go to the finance committee that can hear this now?
Yeah, we got a finance committee meeting this afternoon. Let's cover it then.
Yeah.
Well, I'm just saying, I don't know if you'll have a full court then to vote on it. Enough there. You may have, I don't know. You can ask who's going to be at the finance
Well, the
committee.
problem is we can't vote on it anyway because this is not a call.
Not a call meeting.
That's right.
But I think just from the consensus that's went around the table, you got a real good idea of how that vote will go.
But so could we go ahead and have them and start this
Yes.
process before
I
the
think
court votes
so.
on
You-
it?
You've got
On the
8
17th.
of
You have our permission to
actual
start.
10.
We will plan
Next
on
week.
coming next week.
Can you get meetings set up for us, like on Tuesday,
And I
Wednesday?
think both of them will
Yeah.
be solid with
Is
us.
Billy Ann gonna be
So-
the one I need to talk to, or?
Don't
or
think we
me?
need to put this in a
Yeah,
Joanne
resolution.
will coordinate.
Billy Ann and I will
Change.
work together on
Doesn't have to be an
this.
ordinance, but just a
And
resolution.
then if we, I mean, we can schedule meetings in different
And then
spots
vote
at
on
the
it
same time.
Tuesday,
It's
the
fine.
17th.
Yeah.
oh, that might be helpful.
Yeah.
We'll let them
I mean,
go and
we'll-
start.
Maybe go ahead
We'll
and-
figure it out.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think that's.
It'd be great, you know, if like we can get the whole crew, like at the jail, the road crew and all of that on one, you know, like boom, 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 boom. Get all of that done.
Say that again.
I'm all.
Boom, boom, boom.
Did we say there
And-
were 27 people Medicare eligible?
So
And
that-
then what about the, are y'all gonna schedule like the Medicare specialist?
Yeah, we'll probably do that first quarter, because they're they're closing up all of the open enrollment stuff right now.
So we
They're
just
gonna
need
be
to worry
swamped.
about enrollment meetings for
I
now.
didn't write
Yes.
it down.
And
We are
when-
adjourned.
When we have time, we'll get in front of the Medicare eligible
What
folks.
about our old business?